Good afternoon. I'm Melissa Fry, Chief Meteorologist here at Alaska's news source with your first alert weather as we head into the weekend and ahead to next week. We've got some big weather to talk about. We are returning to an active weather pattern as we head both through the weekend and through most of next week. We also have some fun things to talk about as well. When you watch the newscasts, whether you watch it in the morning, at noon, 4, 5, 6, or 10 p.m., we only get 3 to 4 minutes to explain everything that's happening in the state. And as you know, Alaska is a very large state with a lot of dynamic and interesting weather. So we can only get to a small snippet of everything that's going on. So this is our opportunity here on streaming to give you an outlook, the bigger picture of what's going on, but also to get into some more of those details and what I am looking at as a forecaster to sort of bring you behind the scenes into my world as well. Also, we're going to take a look at some of the best pictures in Alaska from this week. conditions. Anytime you see those winds that are in a circle, if it's counterclockwise, that tells you it's low pressure. That's what creates storms. But when you see that it's pretty tightly round, when those parallel lines around the low pressure are close together, that tells you that the winds are likely going to be stronger, and just that storm has a tighter center. And when we get a tighter center, we can get bigger impacts from it. Not necessarily more precipitation. It just means that low pressure center is likely a little bit deeper, and that the change from what you're currently experiencing is also likely going to be a little bit more significant. So I do want you to be prepared. When we have storms like this particular one, it's very similar setup to what we saw last week. This storm doesn't even really exist yet. The dynamics and the conditions have to come together just perfectly to create this snow, and that's why two of our models are going, I don't see this coming together, while two of the other models are seeing those ingredients all coming together. And in this particular situation, it's not just what's happening at the ground with, say, like a surface front. You're used to hearing meteorologists talking talking about a cold front or a low pressure area coming through. But this particular event has more to do with what's happening in the upper levels of the atmosphere. So you head up to about 500 millibars, you get a little trough in that, and that helps to really squeeze out that moisture, really helps to lift the air and bring in those dynamics. And right now, two of those models are in agreement, and I am now siding with those two models because this is a really similar scenario to what we saw last week. These models did an excellent job with that, and right now it's been just very consistent. Should that change, I will certainly let you know what to expect again as the days come, but really Sunday afternoon, especially into Monday, I do want you, if you're in Anchorage, to start preparing for snow. That could impact your morning commute on Monday and bring those shovels back out. For high winds. Once we get into Sunday into Monday, that's when those wind gusts of 65 to 85 miles per hour, so hurricane force wind gusts are likely again for the far western Aleutians initially, and then we'll see that storm pushing to the west into the Bering Sea. And then for those of you in the Kuskokwim Delta and the Bristol Bay region, Tuesday through Thursday, I want you to start preparing for those impacts from that next storm. Again, onshore flow, heavy rain, some snow and freezing rain mixing in there as well. And then also seeing high winds pushing in with this. It'll likely be a warmer storm for you because it is coming in here That is a look again at the forecast here across the state of Alaska. We've got again snow on the way for this weekend in South Central. We have the cold on the way for the interior, and then we have that big storm pushing into the western side of the state starting in Adak late Saturday and then pushing across the Bering Sea toward the Kuskokwim Delta and into Bristol Bay once we get into Tuesday and Thursday. If you missed any of that information, just head to our website. You can get all of that there. You can also get it on our streaming channel. You can replay back this forecast and this broadcast at any time on our streaming channel. That's available on Fire TV, on Roku, and on Apple TV as well. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, some of your favorite pictures across the state. I should say some of Jackie's favorite pictures. Jackie Purcell will be back with Picture Alaska right after this. Stay with us.
Hello, Alaska, and thanks for tuning in to Picture Alaska. We have a February edition that does hold some storm photos, but of course, lovely landscapes that you provide to us. So let's get started. And since it is the month of February, we did mention that there is some frosty conditions. And yes, Shelley Peterson caught one of those, some of those formations, and I believe that must be a railing because you can see the sky out there, or even a log. But some of those formations of frost on your windows, followed by a little bit of melting, creating some big icicles. Thank you to Theodora Bayou for sending that one in. And then, of course, winter storm action. This is an overturned car. This is when we have a lot of snow, but now we've seen some warmer temperatures. But let's check out some of these beautiful conditions in these mountains. Tally W taking this beautiful photo. You can see some of those low clouds in the valley, but these deserve to be full screen because they are so pretty. So let's check out Walter Lee's Sr.'s photo of the Aniak sundog that he spotted. And it looks like that might be near a runway, but check out the beautiful blue sky that they're enjoying, or at least they were that day. So these two bald eagles are fluffed up in the chill. Thank you to Francine Lombardo for sending that one in. You know, there's been a lot of eagles spotted around town. I know that we did a story a couple of weeks ago about all the eagle conflagration on the east side of the city. There's a moose out on the Willow Lake area. You can see some of that frost in the trees. Those moose, I mean, a lot of wildlife during the winter, they have it pretty tough. So stay out of their way. And, you know, good way to check see if they're kind of agitated is when the hair on their hump stands up, or, you know, their ears are laid flat back. You don't want to be encountering a moose that looks like that. This is a beautiful pastel colors of the moon. This is north of Savunga. Dora sent this to us, and she said she sent it in just around 11 a.m. The full snow moon, that's what we've called this past full moon. Tracy tried catching it between the branches of a barren tree. Another shot of the moon, this one out of Quinnipiac. Thank you to Carol Cleveland. It looks a little bit orange from this I zoomed in a bit on that photo. Check out that beautiful winter sunset glow. This is out of Scammon Bay. That's thank you to Wynn Kaganak. And McHugh Creek, the sunset, Janelle Oslin. Thank you so much for sending that one in. That's a little closer to home. It almost looks like those words are riding the guardrail there. A fiery sunset also from the South Central region. Sandy Cannon spotting that and making sure to send it to alaskasnewssource.com. And this cat and moose are just a pane away, pane of glass, that is. Joy Mindiola sharing that cute interaction there. The cat's probably going, are you a huge dog? And speaking of dogs, a frosty canine athlete, a couple of them in the Connect 200. Tracy try up or even staying up late or getting up early, I don't know, but it's dark there. And those dogs look like they've had quite the run into that checkpoint. I think this looks a little scary if you ask me, but there they are, ice fishing, Alexandria, Berlin. I thought, gosh, I cannot remember the location specifically, but it looks dangerous. So good wishes to those folks out there. Fun in the sun. Again, these words look like they're trying to hitch a ride into the fun. Rose Lottie, thank you for sending that in. That's some Fat Tire biking. Look at those mitts. Those will keep your hands warm, won't they? Now, a look at the fog bow. This is from Jenny Matthew out of northern portions of the state. And fog bows occasionally seen instead of rainbows. You have to have that low-lying cloud cover. And speaking of fog, this is freezing fog out of southeast Alaska. Brian Holter, and love that totem pole there in the middle. That's Asher in his big snowman, almost twice his height. Georgette Morgan sharing that. That was after our big snowfall and the snow that actually stuck around for a couple of days. And hey, that is our February edition of Picture Alaska. Thank you so much to everyone who sent in those photos. And if you go to our Alaska's News Source website and you click or you even look on the top banner and you go all the way over toward the right, you'll see the submit photos and videos. That's where you would click. Make sure that we get them and we can add them to the online gallery. Thank you so much for tuning in and I hope to see you online again.
All right, thank you, Jackie. I was going to try and pick my favorite, but there's no way to pick a favorite. Those are all stunning. I especially love it, though, when you get things like sun dogs and halos around the sun or the moon. You get to see a little bit more of the atmospheric dynamics that are happening there. If you want to take a look at any of those pictures, those are up on the weather page at our website. You can go to alaskasnewssource.com/weather or just click on weather. Not only can you submit your photos there and get the forecast, but you can check out that online gallery and see what the conditions are like in your area. Thank you so much for joining me here this afternoon. Hopefully you're up to speed on the weather and not surprised by anything that comes in this weekend. As always, we are updating those forecasts constantly, especially when we have active weather and big storms coming in. So check back frequently and we'll get you that latest forecast for your area. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.